Thoughts on social isolation. So this might be a sad one, all right?
So I'm someone who doesn't have a lot of friends. Like,
Okay, so let's just start with the hair, okay? I'm not saying that that's going to get you a lot of friends. What you can do, one of the things you can do, you could rock the anime messy look as long as it's clean, right? If you clean this, you can rock this. You can go out. It's all about how you carry yourself. Just communicate with people, offer your insight on situations, and when things are brought up in conversation, and people sort of they turn away when you say certain things. Like if you approach a man or a woman and you say something that's kind of out of line, and they react strangely to it, accept it in the moment, and maybe realize that that wasn't the best decision. And you go throughout life and you have more conversations. You can't be afraid to have awkward conversations. That's one of the best ways to combat social isolation. Don't be afraid to have awkward conversations. Know what you like and ask people questions about their life and how they're doing, and just have minor, small conversations. Hello, how are you? How's your family? Are you doing okay? I like this thing that you're wearing. I like this thing that you're doing. Whatever. That's how simple it can start. And then that can grow.
like I don't have like a lot of social relationships. I have a couple of friends here and there that I talk to occasionally, but I don't have any consistent IRL.
See, this is the thing too though. Like this guy saying he doesn't have consistent friends. That's you. That's on you of having to be consistent with the friendship. Like you have to foster friendships. You can't just be somebody's friend. Like you can have people that you know for a long time that you get along with, but to foster an actual friendship is completely different. It's a completely different thing. So like obviously don't put too much energy into it. Don't like drain yourself to be somebody's friend. If it feels draining to you, then maybe you need to look for some other friends, unfortunately. Or eventually, you got to give it more time and it will
Social
grow into something else.
relationships, and most of my friends are online, and even then, we don't really talk very often. I don't have like friends that I hang out with online every day or frequently, right? And
Once a week is good enough. Once a week is definitely good enough to foster friendship, checking in, whatever it may be.
I just thought I would talk about like what like social isolation at this level is like, because I think it's an interesting perspective, because I don't think a lot of people have this perspective. Maybe there are a lot of people, and I hope that someone in the comments can talk about their experience with social isolation too. But the biggest thing is I have so much time to really consider myself and to really figure things out. And that's a good thing, right? Because I can really kind of understand what is for me and what isn't, right? And who is for me and who isn't. And when you have the silence of no social relationships, or little to none, right? You get the whisper. You get the through the grapevine effect, where you can kind of hear underneath everything what people latently think about you.
He's right about this. Not being involved in a bunch of personal relationships with people and giving too much energy to them, you kind of know the general consensus on how people think, and you can see everybody's life from the outside perspective. But also when you're socially isolated, you also avoid any sort of constructive criticism on your life, things that actually could benefit you that you're otherwise not listening to because you're not connecting with people. And so obviously some people um don't know anything and they lead their lives in a very destructive way, and when they try to tell you what to do, and you know that what they're doing is it's not even equatable. Like it's not even something that you should be considering, and they're trying to offer you this advice. People who are extreme know-it-alls, always trying to tell you what the right thing in this situation is to do. Um, and they don't even do that in their own lives. When you're on the outside, you can see their lives. You can see who they are. But in the same token, finding out what you like and what you don't like, you are essentially just alone with your thoughts. And this can be effective for piecing through your emotional reaction to things and sorting out and building a line of stoicism within yourself to be a better person and to not lash out, to not react. But if you don't dive into the world a bit from time to time, then you sort of start to formulate these barriers between yourself and others when they exhibit a certain behavior or they criticize you. You may start to conflate criticism with someone who's just being mean, you know? And that can be very ineffective for developing your psyche as you're growing up. So there definitely should be social interaction, but you should, if it's too much for you, you definitely should limit it and stand your ground and be, very forthcoming and understanding of other people's situations as they should be to yours.
Right? Because you don't have all these other people saying directly to you what's going on in their life or seeding you with ideas that they have about you, right? I can just sit for a long time and sort of hear underneath everything what is going on, and I have kind of an observational perspective to where I can kind of observe things, right? The negative is I am now extremely socially, like, retarded, for lack of a better
Right.
term. Like,
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. I should have just let the man talk, but um I basically knew what he was gonna say because I've been through it, so
I am very socially backwards right now because of the fact that I haven't really interacted with people in a long time, right? At least consistently, right? Maybe one off here and there, and I'm so excited to hang out with someone that I feel like I'm off putting. So, um,
I will say this is actually very effective. You got to think about this from a training perspective. Think about anything in your life, anything that you practice. Working out, some sort of sport, an instrument, anything you've ever practiced to where you had to do more than just do what you wanted to do, right? So you had to have some modicum of discipline involved in some sort of activity. If you were playing, like he has a guitar back there, if he's playing this guitar consistently, eventually he's going to get to a point where he doesn't want to do certain things. Like if he wants to get better at it, he's going to not want to carry on with the instrument. But in order to get better at it, you're going to have to put in the time, the reps for the purpose of getting better at playing guitar. You can do this with social relationships and socializing. Going out, and I'm telling you, something as simple as talking to the person behind the counter when you buy something, because you're going to have to go buy something. You can't just stay inside all day. Or saying hello to someone on the street, but keeping it cordial, keeping a distance, keeping your distance. You say hello to them. How are you? How are you doing? What's going on in your life? Do you have any good news to share? Just things like this, like very small things like that. And it might turn into a little conversation. But definitely keep, like, if this is a person you don't want to have a continued relationship with because they might some people on the street, when you talk to them, they might get clingy to somebody who approaches them and is offering some sort of kindness, because a lot of people don't really dish out kindness anymore. Um, when you're giving somebody on the street some random kindness, especially somebody who might need it, like somebody who's homeless or whatever may have you, like whatever type of person they are, um, you basically have to have your life structured to where you're busy, you're doing things. You're just like, I'm glad we had this chat. I have some other things to get to. I will see you around. And then you go on about your day, and that's it. And every time if you see this person again, you just keep it cordial. You know, you don't have to foster every relationship that you have with somebody. You can have many conversations. You can have many basically side quests in your life where you just talk to people and help them out with something every now and then, or things like that. It's just that's you train it like an instrument. You train your brain, you train everything else the exact same way. Why is it not the same thing for social relationships? I've seen this. If you had trouble as a child doing this stuff, which I did, like understanding personal relationships and things like that. If you had trouble with this and now you're older, you might believe something about yourself that you are just socially awkward. You might just believe that you're socially awkward. It's like, no. When other kids were learning it subconsciously through their parents and other people that they grew up around, you may not have had those types of personal relationships that developed that subconsciously for you. So in that case, you do have to train, right? Like kids learn how to dance at a young age, and they just have it for the rest of their lives. They can pick up moves from other dances because of the stuff that they did when they were kids. They learn subconscious motor patterns of movement. Kids learn how to socialize when they see their parents socialize, when they see other people socialize around them, right? If you didn't have that as a kid, obviously now you need practice. You need to practice.
Yeah, I just think that like you how do I put this? I think you have to I think I have to just put myself into more social situations to where I can interact with people more. But that's hard to do. It's hard to do because I don't really get along with a lot of people. And a lot of people get on my nerves. Um, so it's just kind of tough finding valuable social relationships in a world where it's like everyone's kind of inundated with content and it just everything's kind of awkward.
And here's the thing, people are going to get on your nerves regardless. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter how close the person is. It doesn't matter. Everybody's going to do something that you don't like. You're going to do things that they don't like. That's just how you grow. When you speak with people, you talk with people, you communicate. There's gonna be people that do things that maybe, let's say you like 80% of what somebody's about, and 20% isn't. It's just you don't really like that 20% of them. Maybe they act a certain way. Maybe they do something that you disagree with, and you do something that they disagree with, but you can still get along. Those are the relationships that you want to foster. You don't want to just push away people because of a few things that you disagree with, or you have a few things that they disagree with. It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be like that, because if you're looking for perfect relationships, perfect friendships, perfect everything, it's not effective. It's not an effective way of getting along with people. It's not an effective way of growing like social cohesion. It's not an effective way of communicating in general, because it's not possible. It's never going to happen. You're not going to find perfect anything. So you got to get used to people's shortcomings. You have to get used to sharing your shortcomings. You have to get used to sharing how you feel about certain situations and being honest. That's the best way to foster like a social relationship.
And it kind of sucks. But what are you gonna do? I just think that like being as isolated as I am, it's taught me a lot about people because I've been able to observe people quite a
And literally, dude, you got like you're within four white walls. Like that's just how it is. Like it's a good base to lay down. But if you don't put like something on the wall over here, or like have just a little bit of, you gotta add some accents in this room, because right now just like this mundanity can set your expectations for the world. It can set how your brain operates.
bit.
Like the social isolation, like you got the four white walls and there's nothing on the walls. There's literally nothing on these walls. What is that, a
And
calendar behind you? I don't know. I can't even tell.
that gives me sort of a social superpower once I get back into interacting with people frequently. But yeah, it's tough. It's not something that is very easy, and I think that I don't wish serious social isolation onto anyone, because it is something that is not easy.
And here's the thing too. A lot of people who are used to this, who are extroverted in general, um often when they meet introverts, they don't know how to react to people who are severely socially isolated or introverted. They don't know how to talk to them, and generally people who are overly introverted, they will assume that other people understand their situation. They'll assume that extroverted people understand that they don't want to be bothered, but that doesn't happen. A lot of times people don't understand that you don't want to be bothered. So you have to tell people that. You have to actually express it. In a way, you have to be extroverted as an introvert sometimes. You need to express how you actually think to people. You can't assume everybody's going to know that you fucking hate, you fucking despise talking to them because they have an annoying voice, or they say this dumbest shit and they repeat themselves all the time and say stupid shit all the time. You can put it in a nicer way though, right? You can be like, I understand your situation. We all got our problems. I can give you some advice. But for the most part, I just don't want to hear. I don't want to hear that, man. He's just like, I just don't want to hear that. You know? You can come from a place of compassion and be like, I see what you're going through. But at this point, you sound like a broken record, my friend. You keep repeating yourself. I hear about the same dumb story about your boyfriend or your girlfriend. I hear the same dumb story. Like, you get what I'm saying? Work friend conversations where they have to tell you about whatever the fuck they're doing, and you just don't give a shit. Like, if you actually don't care, to a certain extent, you can let them know that. You don't have to be polite all the time just because you're being polite with people. You can be polite and still be assertive. There is a way of going about it. Don't lash out, but definitely assert your boundaries with people when they continue conversations that you don't want to hear. Be like, I heard this story before. How are you dealing with this? What are you going to do to fix this? Eventually, when you get better at social conversations, you can listen to people's problems all day because they literally have nothing to do with you. And you, at that point, when you reach that level of being able to talk to people, you can offer solutions, but you can also offer an ear. You can just be somebody who listens to the problem. A lot of times, people who like to ramble, and emotionally dump on you, sometimes they really just need somebody to actually listen to them. And when you're ready for that, you can be that person. You still don't have to be involved with their life, but you can definitely lend an ear. That's another way to socially interact. But don't become their shoulder to cry on. But definitely most definitely lend an ear from time to time because you might learn something too.